Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Dead Space. Impossible mode, no upgrades, no shop, no items, no stasis, no damage. At the very beginning here, guys, you have to skirt the left-hand side of the corridor. If you don't, you'll get hit by the spawns of the necromorphs coming from the ceiling. Then once you get to this door, you are safe. This walkthrough is going to have all non-essential moments removed. It will focus on the action, and it will contain only parts where you can be injured by enemies. We're going to be dancing around sequences. We're going to be doing all kinds of shenanigans. This is going to be unlike any other no-damage run of Dead Space you have ever seen. I guarantee you that. This run is nuts, and I hope you're excited for it, because Callisto was not the game I wanted it to be, and instead we're doing this. So get the plasma cutter, take out the first slasher, and then always stamp on the body to try and pick up some ammunition. This slasher's pretending to be dead. Introduce it to the concept of taking the knee, then taking the arm. If you want to get fancy, you can take both arms. That will usually kill them, but it's also more difficult accuracy-wise. Dead Space 1 has telekinesis, and it can be very useful, but it's not as good as Dead Space 2, and it makes it really awkward to use. So as much as you might be tempted to pick up the blades and fire them back, sometimes it takes so long for the blades to get to you, you'll be attacked. And if you can't use stasis, the entire game's dimensions change. And I just used stasis then, so you're probably thinking, what is this? You're cheating! The wizardry! Well, of course, there are parts of Dead Space 1 where it's mandatory that you use it to progress. And I will be using it to progress as I do this puzzle in the wrong order, so just ignore that. Not been back to Dead Space 1 for a while. I've been meaning to do this project for years. I know that sounds crazy, but it is true. When I originally did Dead Space 2, no shop, no damage, I wanted to then do this, and then I turned it on and I couldn't stand it. And I know that sounds crazy because Dead Space 1 is a majestic game, but the movement and the TK in this game are not good. Nowhere near as good as Dead Space 2. They streamlined many things and really made it a much more contemporary and modern game. So I ended up putting it on the shelf for a while, and I find myself coming back to it now, and I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. Although it must be said, guys, this guide, I say guide, it's really a run. This challenge run was a pleasure up to Chapter 7, and then it turned into a misery. And it's all because of the Leviathan. On this run, killing the Leviathan is an absolute ammunition, just destruction. He exists to devour your ammo supply. I went into that fight with about 250 plasma cutter rounds and I came out with 20. I wish I was kidding. Those first 6 chapters are going to look like this game isn't fair, because I am going to decimate everyone. And then as soon as we hit that last half of the game, it gets messier and messier, but also more exciting, hopefully. Because I'm not going to get hit, but the stuff I'm going to be doing is definitely going to be unorthodox. But here is our encounter with our first Leaper. Standard Leapers take around 3 shots to their limbs to get rid of. If you get rid of both of their arms, they'll die. They didn't quite figure out the Leaper's AI in this game, so he's nowhere near as dangerous as he is in the second game, and you can get away with murder. His jump is active, but the hitbox is not that generous. And his movement is really awkward if you get close to him, and if you make him do any kind of right angles. And I'm going to do a lot of that, so you'll see plenty of Leaper manipulation. And then we have a fight here with multiple slashers. So, whenever a necromorph goes to attack you, if you shoot them in a weak point, they will stagger. You will get a flinch. It's only a small flinch, but it's enough of a flinch for you to reposition and not get attacked. I'm going to use that a lot, because it's the only way I can stay alive. Another thing I could be doing here, but you won't see it until midway through because it gets a bit more intimidating. If you throw bodies at necromorphs, it knocks them over. It does a little bit of damage, and it knocks them over. If you throw bodies at a necromorph 50 times, you might kill them. But if you have the patience to do that, there might be something wrong with you. So I won't be doing that. But it does work. And it's going to come in handy. It's the same with certain objects. Certain objects in the room, if you throw them at the necromorphs, it will knock them down. Smaller objects will flinch them. Larger objects will knock them down. You can use that knockdown tech to set up all kinds of shenanigans when it comes to avoiding enemies, controlling enemies, or even wasting time. Because later on there are some encounters where you have to waste time to proceed, and it's going to be a lifesaver. So it's good to know. But this room here is quite large, and it's quite dynamic too. And at the moment, I know there's someone here, but I don't quite know what he's doing, and I don't want to waste these bombs, so I'm trying to get him to use the vents to come to me. But instead, he just comes around the side, so I'm going to back away here, and I'm going to use the explosive on him. You don't have to worry about min-maxing this soon, because ammunition comes very quickly, and Dead Space has a system that's pretty good. It tends to give you the ammo for the gun that you are using. I don't think it's as good as the system in the second game, but I think it definitely has something going on under the hood that's predicting all this information. And as much as it likes to be an arsehole and give you healing items and money when you're walking around at full HP with 200,000 credits, every so often it does give you what you want. But something worth noting, if you're new to the series, if there's a save point near an area where you can open for an item, you can manipulate items openings, because it is random. And if you want to get a certain ammo, all you do, open it, what do you get? Quit, load, open it, quit, load. Do that until you get what you want. I don't need to do that at all. He's not dead, by the way. I don't need to do that at all for the first 7 chapters of this game, but after Leviathan, I have to manipulate every chest I find because I don't have the ammo to continue. And it gets really, 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 really annoying. However, you should have a much better time watching it, because the stuff that I had to do to get through some of these areas, you wouldn't believe it. Like, I don't believe it, and I did it, you know? So I hope that it turns out to be a really fun experience for people that have never seen this game. Look at all that bloody healing. And I did do a mistake here, guys, because it's a no-shop run, and what that means for people that don't know the restrictions, it means you cannot use the shop to buy anything. It doesn't mean you can't look in the shop. It doesn't mean you can't browse. So what I was doing is I was picking up items and I was selling them so I could have my inventory space back. Because you can drop them, and it's really awkward on PC because you have to use the arrow keys, because apparently in 2008 we were all aliens that used arrow keys. And what I didn't realise is when you hit the shop at certain intervals, it automatically gives it guns and it gives it things. And in Dead Space 2, you get ammo for the gun you're carrying, right? That's why people walk around with a contact beam, and it's a good way of making money. In this game, you get ammo for every gun you haven't bought, and I don't know why. I think I shouldn't have gone to the shop at all. I think I should have just dropped everything, and maybe the whole game would have been Plasma Cutter City. But I can tell you now, guys, I have had more Ripper ammo, more Force Gun ammo, more Pulse Rifle ammo, more Contact Beam ammo, more everything, and I literally don't even own them. So it gets obnoxious. But this game is amazing, and coming off Callisto to this game has really shown just how immaculate the pacing and all of the design is. And it's really funny to me that anybody could think that Callisto Protocol is better than this game in any way. The only place that Callisto gets to win is in its visual presentation. Objectively, it is a much more beautiful game. But do you want to hear something, guys? I think this game looks better than Callisto Protocol because I love its aesthetic. I love how Isaac looks. I love this kind of boxy, angular architecture. I love the way the textures look, even though they look a bit rough. I think for 2008, this was a stunning game. And when I come back to it, I get the same kind of nostalgia that I get when I play PS1 games. I just think there's something about the way the ship's designed, the very art direction of Dead Space 1, all the slats, all the lighting, all the gradients of greens and greys and browns and shadows. I just think that this game is a phenomenal game. And I can't wait to share this with everybody, because I know there's a lot of people that are really upset at Glenn Schofield and the new team at Striking Distance because they didn't deliver for all of us. Hopefully this will make you remember why those people were so highly regarded to make a great horror game. Because this is a great horror game, and it's a lot scarier than Callisto Protocol, a game that did not scare me once. And I know horror is subjective, but having a pancake jump out of a fucking locker 20 times in one playthrough is not scary. Anyhow, moving on, there is a random slasher. I think that might be a female slasher as well. In this game, guys, the female slashers can actually spit projectiles at you, and you can use it to kill other necromorphs. In the sequel, they introduced a puker that took her role, but in this game, she's present. This spawn here is really weird too. He goes in the vent, and this guy drops out of the vent, but there's a pincer coming up. Guy in front, guy behind, just like prison. We don't want that, so I'm going to kill this one as quick as I can, and then I'm going to spin around and get rid of whoever's behind me, which is this one. And just then, you saw what Dead Space does so elegantly. Whenever a necromorph is not on the camera, it will move towards you, but it will do so in a pacified sense. It will slow down a little bit. It will creep towards you to try and make you jump. You can use this manipulation to make sure you don't get ambushed. The moment you look at it, it will sprint at you. This is how you survive in Dead Space. Camera manipulation is huge. One of the reasons I don't have an extended FOV is A, I couldn't figure out how to do it until someone on my Discord did it. And then B, having a wider camera might actually be harder to play this game. And under the current restrictions, like I'm going to actually run out of ammunition in this fight coming up here. That's how tight ammo is at first. You know, you really want to be using the extremities of the necromorphs to save your ammo, but I wasn't too worried. I'm confident in my ability to play this game. However, I will say, guys, when you do no stasis, this becomes a completely different game. You have to look at every situation in a different light. But this opening chapter is a masterpiece. It has spectacle, it has set pieces, it has enemies, it has challenge, it has everything you want from a video game. And there's a couple of leapers about to turn up here as well. See him over there? One leaper, one slasher. And he's running, that guy. And I'm missing, I'm doing some serious missing. But he's dead. And right here, this is all my ammunition. When I shoot these 2 shots, I'm officially out of plasma cutter rounds. It's that moment of, okay, I've got to stomp the bodies now with the worst stomp in history. And then I stomp this guy, and I get some ammo. And then I back away and I reload. The hardest thing about doing no shop and no upgrades is the plasma cutter's reload speed, its limited clip, and its fire rate. Those 3 things are what you have to manage, because there's a fire delay between rounds, the reload is pretty slow and can only be done while aiming because this game is old. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The end of the first sequence, the end of New Arrivals. Welcome to the new project, welcome to a real survival horror game. You take care now.